Welcome to the Introduction to Anatomy and Physiology. Anatomy is the study of the structure of an organism, such as the human body. The human body is an organism. Physiology is the study of the normal functions of an organism, such as the human body. As an EMT, you must, and I mean must, be familiar with the structure and function of the human body so that you can better assess an injured or ill patient. How will you know if your patient is sick if you don't know what normal is? How will you know if something is out of place or if something just looks off if you don't know what it's supposed to look like? Structural organization. The smallest unit of life within the human body is the cell. The human body is made up of billions of cells, the basic building blocks of the body. Cells vary in size, shape, and function. The way the body is organized is we start out with cells. Cells that cluster together to form a specialized function are called tissue. For example, nervous tissue is specialized to receive and conduct electrical signals over long distances in the body. Muscle tissues are composed of similar cells that can contract, usually in response to an electrical signal from a nerve. An organ is made up of at least two different types of tissue that work together to perform a particular action. Examples of organs include the brain, stomach, and liver. Vital organs are organs such as the brain, heart, and lungs that are essential for life. An organ system is made up of tissues and organs that work together to provide a common function. You may find this on the test, and maybe a bonus question, or maybe an actual question. The largest organ in the body is the skin. Alright, the 10 major organ systems. Human body consists of 10 major systems, that is circulatory, digestive, endocrine, integumentary, muscular, nervous, reproductive, respiratory, skeletal, and urinary systems. All of these systems have their own specific functions to make sure that a person runs normally. Well, what is normal? For the purposes of class and the medical field, normal will be referred to as homeostasis. Organ systems rely on each other to maintain a constant internal environment, known as homeostasis, and perform the required functions of the entire body. Cell metabolism is the sum of the chemical reactions that occur within cells, enabling them to maintain a living state. Aerobic metabolism is cell metabolism that occurs in the presence of oxygen. When cells are deprived of oxygen, cell metabolism can continue, but much less efficiently. Cell metabolism that does not require the presence of oxygen is called anaerobic metabolism. It will be very important for you to be able to differentiate the two. Aerobic metabolism yields a considerably larger amount of energy for use by the cells than anaerobic metabolism. The human body has various checks and balance systems to maintain homeostasis. When an organ system does not function properly due to illness or injury, other body systems are affected. Try and think about some ways the body maintains homeostasis. For example, if you're out in cold weather, you may start to shiver. Well, your core temperature is dropping, so your body thinks, oh gosh, I need to fix that. How can I fix that? I can generate energy by shaking. By generating energy, you will generate heat energy, and that will warm your body up. Let's see. Body fluids contain water, electrolytes such as sodium and potassium, proteins, and other substances. Water is the most abundant component of body fluid, providing the fluid base necessary for chemical reactions, body secretions, and excretions. Sorry about that. Body fluids are housed in two main compartments. The intercellular fluid, which is referred to as ICF, compartment is actually many small compartments because it's made up of the fluid contained within the walls of the billions of body cells. The intracellular fluid accounts for about 2/3 of the body water. The remaining 1/3 or so of body water is found in the extracellular fluid, ECF compartment, which is the fluid outside the body cells. Extracellular fluid includes the fluid within the blood vessels, the intravascular fluid, such as plasma, and the fluid within the tissue, the interstitial fluid. The cell membrane is the division between the intracellular and extracellular compartments. To maintain homeostasis, water and the substances dissolved or suspended within it are exchanged between the intracellular and extracellular compartments. A body cavity is a hollow space in the body that contains internal organs. The cranial cavity is located in the head. It contains the brain and is protected by the skull. The spinal cavity extends from the bottom of the skull to the lower back. It contains the spinal cord and is protected by the vertebral column, otherwise referred to as the spinal column. The brain and spinal cord make up the central nervous system, allowing the body to carry electrical signals from the body's organ systems to the brain and the spinal cord, as well as the various organ systems of the body. The thoracic cavity, which is your chest, is located below the neck and above the diaphragm. It's protected by the rib cage. The thoracic cavity contains the heart, the major blood vessels, and the lungs. The lungs are surrounded by the pleural cavities. The right lung is located in the right pleural cavity, and the left lung is located in the left pleural cavity. The abdominal cavity is located below the diaphragm and above the pelvis. The abdominal cavity contains the stomach, intestines, liver, gallbladder, pancreas, and spleen. Although not separated by any kind of wall, the area below the abdominal cavity is called the pelvic cavity. The pelvic cavity contains the urinary bladder, part of the large intestines, and the reproductive organs. I'm trying to think. Oh, you know what? The kidneys. The kidneys are actually located in the abdominal cavity, but they're actually outside of. They're actually retroperitoneal, which is outside of the peritoneal sac, which contains most of your abdominal organs. Let's see. To simplify identifying the abdominal organs and the location of pain or injury, the abdominal cavity is divided into 4 quadrants. These quadrants are created by drawing an imaginary line that intersects with the midline through the navel, which is the umbilicus. The right upper quadrant contains the liver, gallbladder, portions of the stomach, right kidney, and major blood vessels. The left upper quadrant contains the stomach, spleen, pancreas, and left kidney. The right lower quadrant contains the appendix, and the left lower quadrant, along with the other 3 quadrants, contains the intestines, both small and large. Also in the left lower quadrant, in females, the right and left lower quadrant contain the ovaries and the fallopian tubes. The uterus is the midline above the pelvis and just behind the bladder. Alright, body planes. This is kind of a difficult concept because the planes, you're imagining them. The frontal plane is the lengthwise field that passes through the body from side to side, dividing the body or an organ into anterior and posterior parts. Remember, anterior and posterior are also known as ventral for front and dorsal for back. The frontal plane is also called the coronal plane. The sagittal plane is the lengthwise field that passes through the body from the front to back, dividing the body into right and left sections. So this is just something that just goes up and down, straight down in your body. If you can imagine a line going from your nose to your belly button and just cutting you straight in half, this would be the sagittal plane. In a sagittal cut, the right and left sides do not have to be equal. The mid-sagittal plane is the sagittal field that divides the body into two halves. You can also have, a sagittal cut from your mid-axillary, which is your armpit. The transverse plane is the crosswise field that divides the body into superior, which is upper, and inferior, which is lower sections. Transverse plane is also called the horizontal or axial plane. A cut into the transverse plane may also be called a cross-section. And this concludes our introduction to anatomy and physiology.